Hello everybody, Michael with McEwen Gunstocks here. Update on this project. I took a break for a day or maybe two while I contemplated the ugliness that I had created. And a thought occurs to me when you're working with a project like this and you got it on the belt sander and you make a gouge someplace that you didn't intend, and like all the surface is perfect except you get this bummer. And it's like, oh man, I can't put that wood back. What am I going to do? It looks horrible. Or in the case of this Cheekpiece, it was kind of squared off here. It wasn't faired into the stock. And I cut a flute on one side to match what I had to do on this side because the factory stock had a flute and it got copied into the wood. So now I got a flute on this side and it's right in the middle of the cheek piece. It's got this big old chunk of blocked out wood underneath and it just looked horrible. What are you going to do? In all these cases, at every stage of working on the stock, those bummers just have to be faired. You have no choice. You have to make if it's a gouge someplace, you got to fair the surface. You got to get rid of the gouge. And maybe you end up with a curving shape that you didn't intend that could be cool, or you might find a line that you didn't expect, but now that you've got that line and work it, it's cool. And that's kind of what happened here. So I had this big old chunked out piece of cheek piece, and I'm thinking, well, maybe I make the cheek piece be an oval. I can make this line match that line over there, but I was thinking that what I'll start with is fair it down into the wrist and see what happens. And if I don't like it, I can go ahead and turn this into an oval. If I wanted to do that elliptical shape here at the front anyway, I had to take down the top surface because there were bummers in how I had cut the flute. So I needed to get down below those bummers and have enough surface here to make a curve that I would want. Well, as it turns out, by the time I got this faired in, I think that's looking pretty good. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this little baby flute here. If I keep it, I want to angle it back more, even though that won't match this side. It's going to have a little bit because of how I rounded this out. But as I continue to work the wood, I'm going to think about that flute, whether I want to accentuate it a little bit, pick up a line, move a line. There's this line here that's kind of going out into space. I might make this line work its way into the wrist like I did on this side. This line here kind of lines up with the top of the pistol grip. So yeah, I probably will work that line. But maybe this time I'll sketch it out in pencil first and see if I like it. But I'm really liking this. This looks nice. I might work this line a little bit. It kind of drops off. I might work it so that it looks like it's coming straight into the bottom of the stock here. Well, it'll be the action actually. But I kind of like this little curve it's got. I don't know if that curve will survive finish sanding. But when you get a curve like that you want to keep, you just try to accentuate it as you do your sanding, and then you won't lose it. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. I went from really bummed and not knowing quite what was going to happen. In 5 minutes on the belt sander, it looks decent. So I'm going to get to work with some let's see, it's 80, then what, 120? I'm going to start working that grit, and while I think about what to do with this. But I got plenty of other sanding to do. There is another little issue. This is my first time doing this kind of stock, so an issue that I'm not sure I want to address with this stock or do it with the next one. Or I know how I am. This is probably going to work in my head enough until I address it. But when I bedded the action to the stock, when I tightened up the draw bolts, it kicked this up at an angle I didn't intend. So I had to loosen up the draw bolt, force this down a little bit, pack bedding compound around it, and let it cure. Well, this is a shooter. No problem there. It's a perfect fit. I tighten up the draw bolt. It's good. Stays right where I wanted this line to be in relationship to the action. But I've got this tapering bit of bedding compound right here that's going to be slightly visible. When it's oiled, it'll hardly be visible. It'll pass the 2 foot away test. But, you know, if I ever hope to do this kind of a job for a client, I think it's going to have to be wood to steel, not bedding compound to fix a bummer, which I wouldn't think of it as a bummer, but you get my point. So I've been thinking about how I would address this now if I were to want to, and it's fraught with risk. But an idea would probably use a flush cut saw and make a jig. Maybe do it in the milling machine. Or I'm likely to not do anything about it right now and get this thing oiled enough so I can go shoot it. But that's just something I wanted to share with you that I'm contemplating. Right now though, I think I'm going to go ahead and do some work on some 120 sanding and work on getting some of these curves faired in a little better. I still have this is kind of flat. This needs to be faired. I mean, this whole shape is that shape right there, but it needs to transition from that perfect shape here to round a little bit smoother than that. So I'm going to keep working on this a little bit, and I'll check back in with you when there's something interesting to see. Mainly I just wanted to show you how the front of the Cheekpiece turned out. I'm pretty happy with it. Okay, thanks everybody for watching. Like, share, subscribe, comment please. It'll help me out. It takes 1,000 subscribers to make $1. I'm up to 250 some. Long way from making $1, but I hope you all are enjoying this, and I'm enjoying filming it for you, and I will check back soon.